The Dagda controlled the seasons through his union with the Morrigan at Samhain. Welcome to Deka Rankings. If you want to know things, you're in the right place. The topic for today is Top 10 Most Powerful Celtic Gods. From the mist-shrouded lands of ancient Ireland, Scotland, and Wales emerge the Celtic gods, deities of untamed nature, fierce warriors, and mystical wisdom. These gods ruled over a world where magic flowed like rivers and heroes walked among mortals. The Celts saw divinity in every oak grove, every rushing stream, and every flash of lightning across stormy skies. Today we rank the 10 most powerful gods of Celtic mythology. From the least to the most mighty, we will explore their sacred domains, legendary deeds, ancient worship, and how their wild spirit still influences modern culture. Number 10. Epona. Epona, the horse goddess, galloped through Celtic lands as protector of cavalry, fertility, and the sacred bond between human and horse. Depicted riding side saddle or standing between horses, she embodied the grace and power of these noble animals that were central to Celtic warfare and society. Roman cavalry units adopted her worship, spreading her cult throughout the empire and making her one of the few Celtic deities to gain widespread Roman acceptance. Her festivals celebrated the fertility of both horses and the land, with elaborate ceremonies where decorated horses paraded through villages. Archaeological evidence shows her temples stretched from Britain to the Danube, marking her as one of the most geographically widespread Celtic deities. Epona represented the Celtic reverence for animals as divine partners rather than mere possessions. Her protective power extended to travelers and warriors who depended on horses for survival in battle and journey. In modern times, Epona appears in video games and fantasy literature, preserving the ancient connection between divinity and the noble horse. Number 9. Angus. Angus, the eternally youthful god of love and beauty, wielded power over hearts and dreams throughout the Celtic otherworld. Known as Angus of the birds, he could transform his kisses into birds that whispered words of love to mortals, making him irresistible to both gods and humans. His most famous myth tells of his year-long search for a swan maiden seen in his dreams, ultimately finding and winning Caia Ibomyth by correctly identifying her among 150 swans. Ancient Irish texts describe his palace at Brú na Bóinne, where time moved differently and eternal youth reigned supreme. He possessed a magical harp whose music could heal wounds and inspire love, making him a patron of bards and lovers. Festivals in his honor celebrated young love and the coming of spring, when his influence peaked across the natural world. His worship emphasized the Celtic belief that love and beauty were divine forces capable of transforming reality itself. Today, Angus appears in modern Irish literature and New Age spirituality as a symbol of eternal youth and the transformative power of love. Number 8. Manannán mac Lir. Manannán mac Lir, god of the sea and the mystical otherworld, commanded the waters that surrounded and protected Celtic lands. His magical boat could sail without wind or oars, crossing between the mortal world and the realm of the gods in the blink of an eye. He owned a cloak of invisibility that could hide entire armies and a sword that could cut through any armor, making him one of the most formidable Celtic deities in battle. Ancient tales describe him as king of the otherworld isle of Émain Ablach, where apples grew that granted immortality to those who ate them. Fishermen and sailors prayed to him for safe voyages, leaving offerings on beaches and cliff tops throughout Ireland and the Isle of Man, which bears his name. His three-legged symbol became the emblem of the Isle of Man, rotating eternally like the cycles of the sea. He possessed the power to shapeshift and create illusions, often testing heroes by appearing as a beggar or ferryman. Modern Celtic spirituality honors him as guardian of the thin places where the other world touches our reality, preserving ancient wisdom about the sacred nature of water and the sea. Number 7. Dian Cecht. Dian Cecht, the divine physician of the Tuatha De Danann, possessed healing powers so great he could restore life to the dead and replace lost limbs with silver prosthetics. His most famous creation was the silver arm crafted for King Nuada after his original arm was severed in battle, restoring the king's right to rule. He owned a magical well of healing that could cure any wound or disease, but jealously guarded its secrets, even killing his own son Miach when the younger god's healing skills surpassed his own. Ancient Irish medicine was said to derive from his teachings, with druids and healers invoking his name in their practices. His 4 children inherited aspects of his power, becoming gods of medicine, poetry, and smithcraft, spreading healing knowledge throughout Celtic society. Archaeological evidence suggests healing sanctuaries dedicated to him existed throughout Ireland, where pilgrims came seeking miraculous cures. He represented the Celtic understanding that true healing addressed not just the body, but the spirit and the harmony between individuals and nature. Today, some modern practitioners of Celtic spirituality and alternative medicine invoke his name, seeing him as patron of all healing arts. Number 6. Nuada. Nuada of the Silver Hand ruled as High King of the Tuatha De Danann and wielded divine authority over war, justice, and sovereignty. His legendary sword, forged in the otherworld city of Findius, could cut through any enemy and never missed its mark when thrown in battle. When he lost his hand fighting the Firbolg at the First Battle of Mag Tuiread, he was forced to abdicate, as Celtic law required kings to be physically perfect. After receiving his silver prosthetic hand from Dian Sesht, he reclaimed his throne and led the gods to victory against the Fomorians in the Second Great Battle. His reign represented the ideal Celtic king, generous in peace, terrible in war, and absolutely just in judgment. Ancient coronation rituals invoked his name, and Irish high kings claimed descent from his divine lineage. He possessed the power to inspire loyalty and courage in his followers, making even the bravest warriors fight beyond their normal limits. Modern interpretations of his myth explore themes of leadership, sacrifice, and the relationship between physical perfection and spiritual authority in Celtic culture. Number 5. Cernunnos. Cernunnos, the great horned god of the Celts, embodied the wild, fertile power of untamed nature and the eternal cycle of death and rebirth. Depicted with magnificent antlers and surrounded by animals, he ruled over forests, fertility, and the abundance of the natural world. His most famous representation appears on the Gundestrup cauldron, where he sits cross-legged holding a serpent and surrounded by creatures both wild and domestic. Archaeological evidence of his worship spans from Ireland to Romania, making him one of the most widespread Celtic deities, honored wherever Celtic culture touched the continent. He possessed the power to communicate with all animals and could grant or withhold the fertility of both land and people, making him essential to agricultural communities. Ancient rituals in his honor involved elaborate stag hunts and seasonal festivals celebrating the turning of the year. His serpent symbolized wisdom and healing, while his antlers represented the masculine creative force and connection to the other world. Modern Wiccan and neo-pagan traditions have adopted him as the archetypal horned god, seeing him as the eternal masculine principle in nature and the consort of the great goddess. Number 4. The Morrigan. The Morrigan, the terrible triple goddess of war, sovereignty, and fate, struck fear into the hearts of warriors and kings across Celtic lands. Appearing as three sisters, Bardb, Macha, and Nemain, or as a single shifting deity, she could take the form of a crow, wolf, or beautiful woman as she wove the destinies of heroes and nations. Her prophecies were absolute, and her favor could turn the tide of any battle, while her curse meant certain doom for those who earned her displeasure. She haunted battlefields in crow form, feasting on the fallen and choosing which warriors would live or die, making her both feared and revered by Celtic armies. Ancient tales tell of her confrontations with the hero Cu Chulainn, whom she tested and tormented because he rejected her advances, ultimately prophesying his death. Her shrines stood at crossroads and on hilltops throughout Ireland, where warriors left offerings before battle and rulers sought her blessing for their reign. She represented the Celtic understanding that war and sovereignty were divine forces beyond mortal control, requiring supernatural sanction for legitimacy. Today, she appears in modern fantasy literature and feminist spirituality as the archetypal warrior goddess, embodying female power in its most terrible and magnificent form. Number 3. Brigid. Brigid, the radiant triple goddess of fire, healing, poetry, and smithcraft, illuminated Celtic civilization with the sacred flames of inspiration and creativity. As patron of poets, she granted the gift of eloquent speech and prophetic vision, while as goddess of smiths, she blessed the forging of both weapons and tools that shaped Celtic society. Her sacred fires burned continuously at her shrine in Kildare, tended by priestesses who kept her flame alive for over 1,000 years until it was extinguished and then rekindled in modern times. She possessed the power to heal any disease or wound through her sacred wells and springs, which still attract pilgrims seeking miraculous cures throughout Ireland and Scotland. Ancient craftsmen invoked her blessing over their forge fires, believing she guided their hands in creating works of both beauty and power. Her festival of Imbolc marked the beginning of spring and the lambing season, celebrating the return of light and fertility to the world. She uniquely transitioned from pagan goddess to Christian saint, becoming Saint Brigid of Kildare while retaining many of her original attributes and powers. Modern Celtic spirituality honors her as the goddess of inspiration and transformation, the sacred fire that turns raw material into art and wisdom into action. Number 2. Lugh. Lugh of the long arm, the radiant god of skill, crafts, and excellence, mastered every art known to Celtic civilization and wielded power that rivaled the sun itself. Known as Samildanach, skilled in all arts, he possessed supreme mastery of warfare, poetry, smithcraft, magic, and learning, making him the divine patron of anyone seeking perfection in their craft. His magical spear never missed its target and always returned to his hand, while his sling stone could strike down enemies from impossible distances with devastating force. Ancient festivals of Lughnasadh celebrated his triumph over the harvest and honored him as the god who brought abundance and prosperity to the Celtic world. His skilled craftsmanship created wonders that surpassed even the work of the gods, and his strategic brilliance led the Tuatha De Danann to victory against their enemies. Celtic kings claimed to be his earthly representatives, and warriors sought his blessing to achieve excellence in battle and honor in their deeds. Archaeological evidence shows his worship spread throughout the Celtic world, with cities like Lyon, Lugdunum bearing his name and hosting festivals in his honor. Today he represents the Celtic ideal of excellence and the pursuit of mastery, inspiring modern practitioners of traditional crafts and those seeking to perfect their skills through dedication and divine inspiration. Number 1. The Dagda. The Dagda, the good god and father figure of the Tuatha De Danann, wielded power over life, death, protection, and the abundance of the earth itself. His massive club could kill 9 enemies with one blow and restore life with its handle, while his magical cauldron could feed any number of people and never empty, symbolizing his role as provider and protector of his people. Ancient myths describe him as both a wise leader and a figure of earthy humor, often depicted with his enormous appetite and rustic appearance that belied his tremendous divine power. He controlled the seasons through his union with the Morrigan at Samhain, ensuring the continuation of the natural cycle and the prosperity of the land. His harp could play 3 magical strains: the music of sorrow that brought tears, the music of joy that brought laughter, and the music of sleep that brought peace and healing. As chief of the Tuatha De Danann, he led the gods in their battles against the Fomorians and negotiated the division of Ireland between the gods and mortals after their defeat. Archaeological evidence suggests massive earthworks and stone circles were built in his honor, serving as gathering places for his worship and seasonal celebrations. Modern Celtic spirituality reveres him as the archetypal father god, the protector and provider whose strength shields his people and whose wisdom guides them through all seasons of life and death. These Celtic gods embodied the wild, untamed spirit of ancient Europe, where magic was as real as the morning mist and divinity dwelt in every sacred grove. Their power flowed through stone circles, holy wells, and hill forts, shaping a civilization that valued courage, skill, and harmony with the natural world. Though Roman conquest and Christian conversion transformed their worship, their essence lives on in folklore, landscape, and the Celtic soul that still beats in the heart of Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and beyond. From the battlefield to the forge, from the healing well to the poet's tongue, their influence continues to inspire those who seek the sacred in the wild places of the world. Like this video, and subscribe to Deca Rankings for more videos like this.